Hello everyone. So the much anticipated reciprocal tariff has now been imposed by USA on all trading partner, not just India but on all trading partner. India has been imposed with 26% tariff by USA. The president of USA, Donald Trump, he has termed this day as Liberation Day for USA. And hence in this particular video we are going to discuss how much tariff has been imposed by USA on various countries and why only that much percentage. Then we'll be comparing the tariff imposed by USA on India with many other countries. We'll also be seeing the impact of this decision by US President on India's economy and the response of various countries about this decision of President Trump, and lastly we'll be seeing impact of this decision on USA's economy. So to begin with, let's first see how much tariff has been imposed. So the President Trump has said that from 5th of April, a base tariff of 10% will be imposed on all trading partner. Right. So on all trading partner, initially a base tariff that is of 10% will be imposed, and from April 9th a country specific tariff will also be imposed. For example, in India's case, the total tariff which will be imposed is 26%. 10% will be imposed from 5th of April and remaining 16% will be imposed from April 9th. I hope it is clear that tariff imposed will be on two different dates. One will be from April 5th, another will be April 9th. Now let's discuss that if on India 26% tariff has been imposed, how much tariff has been imposed on many other big economies of the world. So if we talk about China, the tariff imposed on China is 34%. It is on top of 20% which was imposed by USA on China last month. So last month specifically on China, USA had already imposed 20%. On top of 20%, 34% more has been imposed. On Vietnam, one of India's competitor, especially in textile sector, 46% has been imposed. On Bangladesh, again a competitor in textile sector, 37% has been imposed. On Indonesia, 32%. On Thailand, 37%. On European Union, one of the major ally of USA, on them also USA has imposed, but on them USA has imposed 20%. On Japan, another ally of USA, USA has imposed 24%. Basically, USA, it has imposed tariff on allies, on competitors as well as on enemy countries, right? So let's first see why or how USA reached to this number of 26%, right? So by definition, reciprocal tariff means that let's say India imposes X% tariff on USA, same X% US should also impose on India, right? That is what word reciprocal means. But here that is not the case. So when the chart or when the annexure was released by USA government, in that annexure it is written that India imposes, as per USA's figure, India imposes 52% on USA's goods when India imports them. But USA is imposing only 26%, meaning the tariff is not reciprocal. Then how they have reached to 26% number? About this, experts they are saying that the tariff which has been imposed by USA, it is not reciprocal, but the objective of this tariff is to reduce or to make trade deficit with a particular country zero, right? So let's say USA, it has let's say nearly $50 billion of trade deficit. Let's say this number. How much tariff USA should impose on India so that this $50 billion of deficit goes away or it becomes zero? That is how this tariff, this percentage of tariff has been imposed on all the countries by USA. I hope it is clear that the tariff imposed is on not reciprocal, but the tariff imposed is to neutralize the trade deficit which USA has with other countries. But ironically, USA has imposed tariff even on those countries with which USA has trade surplus. So there has been no proper clarity given by US government or US officials how they have reached to these numbers. Now the next thing to discuss is, if tariff has been imposed on India by 26%, what will be the impact of this tariff on India's economy? So you see, some of the sectors of which we used to export a lot in USA's market, those sectors are going to be hurt very badly in short run. Sectors like auto sector, gems and jewelry, steel, aluminium, over which USA has already imposed tariff last month. Auto, gem, jewelry, these sector, pharmaceutical also we export a lot, but the thing is, pharmaceutical sector has been given exemption for time being by USA. So these sectors, they are going to be hurt a lot, because these were the major sector or major chunk of our export used to be in these sector, right? But the thing is, if you have compared or if you have analyzed here that the tariff imposed by USA on countries like China, Vietnam, Bangladesh, Indonesia, Thailand, the countries of South Asia, Southeast Asia or East Asia, which are generally a competitor of India in USA's market, the tariff imposed on these countries are higher than the tariff imposed on India. So China 34%, Vietnam 46%, Bangladesh 37%, Indonesia 32%, Thailand 37%. On the other end, on India, the tariff imposed is 26%. Now the sectors in which we were competing with these countries, so sectors like apparel sector, textile sector, solar modules, smartphones, in these sectors now India has competitive edge. Reason being, our competitors, they have been imposed higher tariff by USA than India, right? So Indian goods or Indian goods in these sectors, apparel sector, solar module sector, smartphones, Indian goods will now become more competitive in USA's market, and hence there are some sectors which might get benefited as well because of this move of President Trump. Now the next thing is, India anyhow is in discussion with USA for signing an agreement, bilateral trade agreement, right? In this agreement, if we reach to any conclusion or if we are able to sign, finalize this agreement very soon, right, what we can do is we can give some concession to USA in terms of reducing our tariff. India has already done some such measures we have already discussed. For example, in the recent financial budget or financial bill, government has done away with Google tax, or government has reduced tariff on many of the imported items from USA, for example bourbon whiskey or Harley Davidson bikes, right? So India is anyhow in the process of reducing or lowering its tariff on US goods. If we sign BTA as well, bilateral trade agreement with USA, USA also might give some concession to India. If India gets concession and other countries are not able to get the concession, India or this decision of President Trump might be actually beneficial for India, because again India will be at the advantageous position when it sees as compared to the competitors of India, right? And the last thing is, what another impact of this decision of President Trump on India will be, that just that because now the trade with USA is going to be reduced because of these restrictions, these barriers to trade, tariff barriers, India will try to find out new and new partners, other partners to trade with. And the partners with whom right now we have not been able to sign FTA, maybe this process will hasten now. Reason being, we have to actively look for new trading partners now, and vice versa is also true. Other countries will also be looking for new markets for their goods, because USA is becoming day by day more and more protectionist, right? So India, which is already in the process of signing FTAs, free trade agreements, with countries like, let's say, UK, Australia, New Zealand, European Union, India might finalize these agreements sooner than otherwise, right? So this decision of President Trump might push India to sign FTAs with other countries. So this is the impact of increasing or imposing tariff by USA on India's economy. Another impact of this thing on India's economy we have already discussed, that if inflation increases in USA because of this move of President Trump, the Fed or the Reserve Bank of USA will be now forced to increase the repo rate. If repo rate is increased in USA's market or by Federal Reserve Bank of USA, then in such a case investors of USA will get a good return in USA's market itself, and hence the investment from those countries to India gets reduced. So FDI and FII for time being might reduce in India's market, right? So these many are the impact of this decision of President Trump on India's trade and economy. Now let's see how the various countries are responding to this move of President Trump, right? So countries like China, European Union, they are saying we will also be retaliating by imposing retaliatory tariff. So China in fact has already announced retaliatory tariff. EU is saying that if President Trump does not take back his decision, if the discussion with USA are not fruitful, then EU will also retaliate by tariff. On the other hand, countries like Australia, they are saying we will engage with USA, we will try to persuade USA to lower the tariff. They are not saying we will also impose retaliatory tariff. Same is the stand of India as well. India, which is otherwise, again we have discussed, as already we have discussed, that India is in discussion with USA about signing a BTA, bilateral trade agreement, right? So India also is not threatening USA to impose retaliatory tariff. India is saying we, the two government, are in discussion. We are analyzing the impact of this move on India's export sector, right? And maybe after signing BTA, or maybe if India gives some concession to USA, we will also be able to get some concessions from USA, right? Now the next important thing which we have to discuss is what will be the impact of this move of president on USA's economy, right? So here first thing is, in short run USA might get more investment. So you see, because now other countries export to USA will become costlier, right? Within USA, the companies of other countries, what they will be doing is, in order to tap the market of USA, they will start manufacturing within USA, and hence USA in short run might get more investment, more job creation, more employment creation, right? But another impact of this decision of USA will be that this investment will take some time to be to take place in USA. During this time, because import has become very costly, very dearer, what will happen is it will lead to inflation into USA's economy. So let's say a good of India earlier used to be sold in USA's market in 10 rupees. Now because 26% extra tariff has been imposed, the same good will become of 12.6 rupees in USA's market, and hence it will lead to more inflation into USA's economy, at least in short run. Now because new production will not start very soon and inflation will increase, which will reduce the purchasing power of the people of USA, it will also lead to slower growth. Anyhow, we have seen that yesterday the share market of USA also has declined sharply, right? Because the profit of companies in USA as well as in other part of the world as well, these companies, they are expecting a lower growth or lower profits now, because the global trade itself is going to be threatened, or it is going to be lesser than the last year. So because of higher inflation and slower growth, USA's economy might see stagflation. So stagflation, what does it mean? It is combination of these two. Stagnant growth plus inflation is stagflation, which USA might see or might face in near future. And if we think about other countries or global economy as a whole, you see this decision of USA, the world's biggest economy, might increase protectionism across the world, right? So the global order which was set by USA earlier, post 1945, post World War II, of globalization, now USA itself is leaving this model and they are going or moving towards protectionism. USA, which was earlier a beneficiary of globalization, now they see globalization hurting their economy, and hence USA is becoming more and more protectionist. If USA becomes protectionist, other countries, in order to retaliate, may also become more protectionist, which will lead to lower or lesser global trade, right? And hence other countries might also find that their trade has reduced. If global GDP comes down because of lesser trade, the world itself might see recession, right? So for world as a whole also, it's not a good news that countries, especially the bigger countries of the world, are becoming more and more protectionist. So I hope through this video you have been able to understand that first of all why USA has imposed a tariff. If you have understood why, how did they reach to these numbers, 26, let's say 26% on India or 34% on China? How did they reach to these numbers? What will be the impact of this move on USA's economy, on India's economy, and in general global economy? If you have liked this video, please don't forget to subscribe our channel. Thank you so much.